Alright, hello. Uh, so this is going to be my first attempt at doing a little video series that I've had in mind for a very long time. I've wanted to do this for a good while, and my whole idea with it kind of from the start has just been to play through a bunch of old games from my childhood and just kind of share my experiences and all the stuff that I know and all that. And I don't think I want to be particularly educational. Like, I'll give any information that I know if I think about it. But for the most part, I do kind of just want to go over it for a little bit, maybe play through the bits of the game that I really like, and let anybody who comes and looks have a look at it. So, starting out, I guess I would start with my first encounter with Dark Souls. So, when I was maybe, I want to say 10, I I would play video games in my brother's room a lot, and there was a while where our Xbox had broken, and we didn't have a PS3 or anything either. So we had to lend a Xbox from a friend of ours, and he had a bunch of games, like an actual gigantic amount of them. And I saw that one of the games that he had in his library was a game called Dark Souls. Now, I was still in elementary school, so I didn't really know anything about it. And, well, I started it up, and I couldn't make a new game because there were so many characters there. Like, I think it didn't really let me. So I kind of did something bad and probably got rid of one of his saves that he might have spent like a couple thousand hours on, which is, it's a 10-year-old stupid kid mistake. But I started the game up, and I saw all these numbers, and I saw all this stuff that was going on, and it was, it's Dark Souls, so it's really hard, so you just don't really know what you do. And I got my brother in, and he he showed me what he could. Like, he showed me, for example, I wanted to use the Morning Star because I had found it in those chests in the Firelink Shrine, and he said, like, hey, look at the number right here. This is your strength number. You need to have this to be the same as the number that's on the Morning Star so you can use it. You can't really use it right now because, and, being 10 years old, I didn't have any of that, so I kind of stopped. And after that, I kind of forgot about it for the longest time. And my next experience was playing Dark Souls 2, and I'll get to that. But with the Asylum Demon right here, you definitely already know. But if you don't, when you get to that ledge up there, if you press forward and R2 at the same time, you'll do a plunging attack, or a jumping attack rather. And if you do that, this game glitches it to where you'll do both of the falling attack types, and it will deal extra damage to the boss, which is, if you're having trouble with him, that's a good thing to know. My experience with Dark Souls 2 is a lot more rich because that was the first one that I actually tried to play. My brother had he had all of them up to that point because he was a huge nerd about the series. And I started Dark Souls 2, and I don't remember too much about it, but I just remember it was insanely hard. Like, I really couldn't do anything. And I would only be able to play when he was out of the house and I was in his room and all that, which I don't know. I'm really glad that my brother was so into Dark Souls, because otherwise I don't really know if I would have gotten into it, which is it's kind of one of those things that you don't necessarily want to think about because it's it's such like Dark Souls is a really big part of my life in a way because it's one of my favorite video games. Dark Souls 1 is one of my favorite video games ever. So in Firelink, what you can do if you want to kind of play this game on easy mode is you can run past all these guys and pick up all this stuff. And you'll see this item down here next to this really big guy. This is Zweihander, which I think it is Swedish for two-handed, I believe. I might be an idiot and don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I heard. But with this, if you save up the souls that you get from fighting the boss and put them into strength, you'll be on your way to using kind of one of the best strength weapons in the game. And you'll notice that I can't use it here, but if I two-hand it, then it will, like, I can use it, which is because with any weapons given strength scaling, you can increase your strength kind of like in a fake way by using two hands. It increases your strength stat by, I think, 0.5. Like, if you have your base number and, you know, you divide it by 2 and then add it back, then you'll be at that strength number. And if you want to be able to two-hand a weapon, then you need that final number to be, you know, either at or past the requirement. Heading into the first area here, is where I'm going to talk a little bit about the art design of the Souls games. And with Dark Souls 1, I gotta say, it's really weird. Like, I really like the art direction in this game, but I really don't at the same time. Because, you know, it's a PS3 game. It can only really look so good. But for the most part, I kind of like the aesthetic of it. And in terms of the actual, you know, stylization and all that, it's the kind of game where I feel like it's let back a little bit by the graphics, because if they wanted to, they could make all of this completely perfectly rendered. And I feel like it would have actually done better for this game. I think if they were tasteful with it, if they had the ability to, then they could make a really, really stunning looking game. And it's not to say that there are parts of this game that aren't stunning. There really are, but you know, it's only as good as it could be at this time. And given the art design of the other Souls games, with Dark Souls 3, I didn't really like it because it had, you know, the whole ashen dust on everything, which, you know, that's definitely what they were supposed to do. Like, that's what they wanted. And that's totally fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that, because it's what they wanted, but I personally don't like the visual design. And that's kind of where I have to go ahead and force myself to say that I like the art design in 2 kind of the most. Because I feel like it does exactly what it kind of wants to do, as confused as the game can feel sometimes. And it doesn't feel held back by the like any graphical stuff at all, because some of the parts of the game look just plain old really, really good. As far as it really goes with how some of the areas can be, like forgive me for forgetting the name here, but the Dragon's Nest, the place way up in the sky after Aldia's Keep, I was very, very impressed with that area, just because of how good it looked. Like, the stylization and the color choice and really everything was just perfect to me. I've always had to think of which Dark Souls is my favorite, and I normally don't exactly like to pick favorites, but I've always gone back between 1 and 2. And you can call me like a hipster or whatever, I don't really mind, but Dark Souls 1 is special to me because it's the one that I went through and played. I used a walkthrough by this really great dude on YouTube named Epic Name Bro, and I knew about him because my brother had a laptop that had the entire Dark Souls 1 playthrough on it, and I kind of took this guy's entire run and copied it one for one, and then after I did that, I had so much fun with it. And after like going and playing all those other games, this is the one that I came back to. Like, this is the one that I decided that I was gonna go and do it myself and do it a different way and all that. And it's a really, really special feeling because it's such an engrossing experience going through this game. Like, with all the stuff and, like, if you know the traps, just like that one there, you just run back down the thing. There's a little guy here, if you break these barrels, then you'll get this crystal lizard, and they give you good stuff. Like, this one gave me 2 chunks and 2 twinkling titanite, which is very, very good. But we can't use them for a while. But with Dark Souls 1 and 2, picking favorites has always been really, really hard because I love the both of them so much. And I said it's hard for me to pick favorites, but I keep really landing on one. Like, I keep really thinking that one is my favorite. And if I play through the whole game, you're gonna very clearly see that there is a lot of bad stuff about this game. Like, there's a lot of really awful stuff that is not exactly the fault of the developers given money and time, but it's still, it's only as much as I can excuse them for because it is very bad. Like, certain parts of the game are almost unplayable. Yeah. So if you use a gold pine resin and do everything that I've done up to this point, and do the little jump glitch, you can, take over half his health away. Which, if you're having trouble with these guys, it's really good to do that, because you can just kind of have a way weaker boss, in a sense. Like, you can... The way that I always look at it is, if you can cap his health by that much at the very start, you're kind of making it to where he has a lower total pool, which is... It's not how the actual numbers work, but that's how I kind of like to look at it. But, Dark Souls, it's kind of only as hard as you want to make it. And, for the most part, you can say, like, oh, no, it's just really, really fucking hard, which, it is. Like, these games are kind of made to piss you off. And once you realize that, and you're okay with it, and you just spend a lot of time playing these games, and even if you decide you want to look something up to help you through it and all that, you realize after a while that the developers really, that they made it to where you could have the means of just breezing through the game if you wanted to. Like, the way that I'm doing it right now, and the way that I kind of normally do it, which is, kind of risky to say in front of the internet, but, if normally I just kind of play this game to go through it for the nostalgia and to have fun with it, but, the way that I'm doing it now, this is the easy way to do it, because you've seen, I've been one-shotting all the enemies, and I've been 5-6-shotting the bosses and all that, and, like, it's totally fine to go through it that way. I think it's okay, because more than anything, I want people to experience all this game has to offer, and you are kind of missing out in the build potential, what with, pyromancy or sorcery or anything like miracles and stuff. Like, you are missing out on that. I'm gonna go ahead and level up, but you could be missing out on that because you're kind of just using the big stupid sword for the first part. But other than that, you can go through the entire game. You can see visually and in a world building sense what this game has to offer. And that's kind of more important to me than anything if people decide to play this game. Like, you don't have to get good. You don't have to. Ooh, I forgot. You don't have to do anything special. It's just as long as you beat the game and you get to see all the really cool stuff, that's all I really want. And with this dragon guy here, if you just do what I'm doing, where you're sitting at the end of the thing, I don't know if you specifically have to, but if you sit here, he'll jump down, and you can run past his leg, and run in here, light the bonfire, and go ahead and have a seat. Something that I haven't mentioned yet, is the level design in this game is fucking immaculate. Like, this is the first game in the series, so they, didn't know exactly how they wanted to do mechanically, but they got it mostly right the technically second time around, because, Demon Souls exists. But, like, the fact that they chose to not have you fast travel from the beginning was very, very much the correct decision, because given all of the different ways you can get from place to place and all this different stuff you can do, it's really impressive because there's a sense of vertical movement that you can visually see. Like, you can see things in the skybox and rendered very far away of places that you've already been or places that you will go, which is really, really cool, and I'm glad that... Oh. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Bloodborne lately, so I'm not used to the controls right now. But, like, there's a very huge sense of vertical movement that you couldn't have gotten if they decided to build the game with fast travel in mind first. Because kind of the problem with Dark Souls 2 that I have is that, with especially like the Lost Bastille and all that, it just feels like it's, like a level selector kind of thing. A problem that I had was in Dark Souls 2, with like the Lost Bastille especially, it felt like a lot of the game was really, it was just disjointed, which is a big complaint that a lot of people had, where it was like, you would go to a place like the Lost Bastille or, some place like that, and it was just kind of selecting the level that you want to go and play, which, it's a video game. It's not bad that it does that, but given that they really want you to experience the world in these games, it's not so good for the actual world building. So, it's kind of, I don't want to call it accidental, but it's kind of like perfect accident on the first or second go around, because there's so much they got right that it's really, really impressive. And they, From Software, are not strangers to make games like these. Like, they've been making Kingsfield, and they made Demon Souls and all that, which, I mean, I'm really sucking dick right now. And, they made Kingsfield and all that, but with Dark Souls, given this is the first in the series, it's not got all the series has to offer, but it's got everything you need to understand. Like, I haven't really been doing much of it, or any at all, but, parrying, which feels so good when you do it right, and backstabbing, it's all, like, that, and the armor, and the weapons, and the items, and the bosses and the enemies, that's all you need to get the Dark Souls experience. Like, they did add a bunch of stuff in the next games, which did make it better, but this is, like, you can play Dark Souls 1 and get the experience to where you can kind of know what people are talking about when they talk about Dark Souls. So, yeah, like, it's just really crazy. I am rambling, and this is my first attempt at recording, but, It is truly baffling. Like, I love, love, love these games. So, I'm really fucking it up right now, because I kind of do the stupid thing where instead of immediately killing the guy who closes the gate, I'm normally confident enough to just kill all the guys there and then reopen the gate. But you can see it biting me in the ass right now. But I should go ahead and mention, I didn't there, but when you first come through this area, that doorway at the end where you can see at the end of the hill, you run through there and to the right and up the stairs and around, and if you do it fast enough, you can get through this gate before the skeleton guy or the undead guy closes the gate, to where you can, you know, kind of skip that whole ordeal. And it's a lot easier to do it that way, because you see I got to deal with all these little piss-ons and this Balder guy here, which is going to be another 2 of them. But that's something else you get to know. Which is another example of the early game being a lot... It's a lot more... a lot more forgiving. It's really deceptively forgiving, because it seems really obtuse with, like, the big boar guy and the demon on the bridge, but there's ways to work around all of it, at least right now. So, okay, with this game and all the other ones, if you attack an enemy or if you get attacked while you're rolling or attacking, you'll deal or be dealt a little extra damage. It's a little small multiplier, because it's like a vulnerability thing, to where it's if you play Street Fighter at all, which I've been playing a lot for a while, if you get attacked, like if you take a hit while you're hitting someone, you're more minus than you were, and it does a little more damage. It's kind of the same thing in Dark Souls. Like, you take a little more damage, and you kind of, you know, you gotta deal with it. Which is something that is not totally obvious, but there are little visual cues that'll let you know that. So, coming down here is, you know, essential and all that, and you can hear the banging down there. And that's the blacksmith, Andre. And he's gonna be super fucking important. Like, for the most part, he's gonna be kind of the only guy that you're gonna go to upgrade your weapons. Now, there are, like, technically 3 blacksmiths, but Vamos is in, like, the worst area. And the giant is in Anne Orlando, and he can only do... He does specific things. Like, you can't go to him for everything. So this guy right here, if you go into the church for the first time, you're going to want to bait him to where he's aggro on you, and you're not going to want to stick around for too long, because there's a bunch of nasty stuff in here. So you just back out and kind of let him do his thing to where he's coming out into the main bit, this open part. And it might take a few tries, because, you know, he's a big fucking asshole who likes to wait a long time to do his attacks. But, he's a big old pushover if you get it right. Now, I did miss the Black Knights so far, because, you know, I didn't want to get hung up on them and spend a lot of time with that. But, you know, I will probably go back and fight those guys and see if I have the luck to get their items first go around, because their items are really, really good. So, right here, before I go and do anything, I'm going to go ahead and start this and just let that go do its thing. And I'm going to, you know, be an idiot and throw all my stuff at this guy while he's blocking me. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Now, this next part is the first time where you're going to really think to yourself, these game developers are fucking assholes and they're kind of dumb. Because they just throw a shit ton of enemies and they're too strong and it's a huge difficulty spike and it's just bullshit. Which, you know, it kind of is. Like, I hate this part, but if you can pace yourself and don't get too greedy, then it's not the worst thing. Definitely not the worst in the game, which is going to be made very, very apparent. So, if you get lucky like me and kill all of them the first try... Holy shit. Okay, alright. Yeah, you got me. Alright. Alright, I think for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here, and I'll record a second episode where I fight the gargoyles and do a little bit of that, but I really don't want to run it too long and bore everybody that might want to watch, so, and I will catch you later.